Hi, good morning. My name is Sophie, and today I want to talk to you about some tips for studying and taking the Ielts test. If you're watching this video, you probably already know what the Ielts is about, but let's just run over it one more time. Ielts stands for International English Language Testing System, and it's a test for study, migration, or work purposes. Today I'm going to talk to you about the academic one, which is the one that you want to take if you want to study in an English-speaking environment or get a higher education. The format is fairly simple. It starts with listening, then reading, writing, and speaking. It's about 3 hours long. If you're doing online, it's probably a little less, like 2 hours and 45 minutes. And you have for the listening 30 minutes, reading 1 hour, writing 1 hour as well, and speaking it's from 10 to 15 minutes. So for general practice, I will tell you to practice as much as you can. Try practicing every day alone or with friends. And one that has really helped me is to consume more English, like books, movies, music, podcasts, whatever you can, because this will make you more comfortable around English and widen your vocabulary. And try this technical shadowing, that is when you hear a phrase or a word of a native speaker and just copy it as much as you can. And well, apart from that, don't be afraid to ask for feedback and help from your friends and teachers. Let's move on to the first part of your exam, which is listening. You have 30 minutes for 40 questions. And you have like a casual part and then an academic part, and you'll have both a conversation and then a monologue. Moving on with the tips, I would tell you to listen as much English as you can and from various accents, and try to polish your vocabulary in academic settings, because with the casual conversation you probably won't have any issues, but with the academic there might be some vocabulary that you might want to practice. For the actual exam day, try to make notes and read the questions first so you know what you're looking for. Very important to stay attentive, because if you miss like 10 seconds or 5 seconds, you might miss an answer. But if that happens, don't worry, just keep listening, move on, and stay on the word count. If it says one word, just write one word and just follow the instructions. For the reading part, you have 1 hour to read 3 passages and answer 40 questions. For practice, obviously read every day, read as much as you can. Try reading like technical and scientific tests, and with this one I would tell you to practice mock tests to familiarize yourself with the questions like multiple choice, fill in the blanks, etc. For the actual exam day, read the questions first, always understand what you're looking for, and then don't read the whole text, just skim it, look for main ideas, keywords, dates, numbers, names that might come up later, and try spending 20 minutes per passage so you can divide your time wisely and review your answers. The next part is writing, where you will have to write 2 texts. The first one is like a descriptive essay of a chart or a graph that they show you, and then the second one is more like your opinion or analyzing, but still remember they are not testing how well you analyze things, just your English. Now moving on to the tips, please practice writing your essays, be familiar with the structure that they ask of you, and one that's been really helpful for me is to put a list of crutch words that I use and then put synonyms, and a lot of synonyms. And then for the actual exam day, spend 20 minutes on the first one, 40 minutes on the second one because you'll need it. Use a formal tone, don't use listing bullet points, avoid repetition of words and concepts, understand what they're asking in the instructions, and then before you write, brainstorm and plan your structure. And finally, speaking, which is the shortest part of the test, it's about 10 to 15 minutes long. The first part is an introduction. You talk about hobbies, your family, and things like that. Then part 2, you will monologue about a topic that the instructor will give you, and then in part 3, you will have a discussion with the instructor about the topic you talked about earlier in part 2. My main tips for this part are to practice speaking by yourself or with your friends, speak aloud, don't be afraid to exaggerate the accents or to sound silly, just do it, and practice extending your answers a lot so when the time actually comes, you can extend yourself easily. Now for the actual exam day, don't try to memorize your answer, just imagine that you're in a normal conversation with another person and just extend yourself, and if you run out of content, maybe if your life isn't that entertaining, don't worry, just lie, just make up whatever. The point is to show off your pronunciation and your vocabulary, and if you want to sound fancy, please don't use that words that you don't know. Just use the ones that you practiced, and the most important of all, stay calm, and if you needed to take a moment to breathe, it's okay, just take a moment, breathe, and move on. Talking about taking a time to breathe, I just wanted to leave you with this little table of phrases that you can use when you need to pause. Also, common topics that you will probably talk about in your exam, and words to avoid like fillers and using too many crutch words. And finally, the final general tips, which are obviously like be on time, have a good night's sleep the night before, have a good breakfast, take your water with you, make sure you take all your documents with you, pay attention to all the instructions, and just be calm. Remember that if you practice and you prepare yourself for this, you really don't have to worry about much. and just don't leave any blank answers, and that would be it.
Is it possible to become a hero if I don't
So thank you for watching this, and good luck on your IELTS.